Lovely. So, what's your name and what country and county do you live in?
My name is Chris and I live in Hertfordshire in the UK.
And how long have you had your clutter challenge?
Probably most of my life in the sense of being untidy. Um, it's kind of built up at different points, but we've been in this house now for 16 years, and certainly all that time there's been some clutter, but it's got worse.
So, how many rooms and areas of your home are cluttered?
There's 3 rooms that are very cluttered, and then just a couple of other sort of small areas.
So, before you started your clutter clearing journey, what had you tried in the past to deal with it?
Hmm. Mainly piles, moving piles around, going through one pile and ending up making a new pile. And if I needed to clear the dining table, for instance, I would, if we had somebody coming round, I would just pick up the pile, take it and put it somewhere else. So not very much really.
So, before you started your journey, what was your biggest challenge with your clutter?
Um, what in dealing with it in sort of
Yeah.
well, yeah, every now and then I would think, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to, this is ridiculous. I must be able to clear it. And so I would go into the main room and I'd kind of look around and think, where do I start? Oh, I can't do this. And out I would go, and I would try not to go in that room really.
So, the
Um,
overwhelm.
yeah, overwhelmed totally.
So, with hindsight, given how long you've had your clutter challenge, why do you think you failed to clear it in the past?
It's not being able to let go of things. I think that's been my problem ever since I was a child. Um, and having done some of the journey now, I sort of understand quite a bit more why that is, and sort of needing things around me as a kind of security thing, really. Yeah, does that answer the question?
Yeah. Yeah. So, given how long you've had your clutter challenge and all your previous attempts to clear it, why did you decide to start your clutter clearing journey when you did?
Well, various reasons. It was I'm not sure what the main one was, but it was well, yeah, my husband is very, very tidy, very organised, doesn't have any clutter or anything out of place. And while he was working, he could sort of, although it got him down a bit, he could ignore my clutter for the most part because I keep the sitting area tidy and the dining. So the bits that he used weren't really cluttered. And if it started to build up, he would say, look, can you clear this pile or can you? But after he retired, he was faced with it sort of constantly, and it started to really get him down. And then 3 years ago, we had an extension built on the house. um, he had our spare bedroom was a home gym with his gym equipment in, and it also contained lots of my clutter, which used to drive him nuts when he was trying to do his workout and he could see it and then he'd get cross. But we had an extension, and so he's now got a gym at the back looking out over the garden, so it's really nice for him. uh, but in order to do that, we did have a kind of, it used to be a garage, but it had been half converted, and the other half was just a sort of dumping thing. So it had loads of all my clutter in there, and we had that made into a utility room. So all the clutter that was in there, because the builders were coming, it just all got shoved up into what had been the home gym, which is really our spare bedroom. And so that then, well, now it's got to a point where you can barely get in the room. And because it's our spare bedroom, and because he's retired and his brother and sister have retired, he would like to have them to stay because they live at the other end of the country and we haven't got a spare bedroom. So he gave me an ultimatum, really, and started nagging and nagging. The more he nagged, the more sort of I resisted. But then also we then had COVID and lockdown, and you were sort of surrounded by people dying, you know, hearing about people dying. And I suddenly thought, you know, I'm going to be 70 this year. And at the rate I'm going, he'll never be able to have his family to stay in. And who knows how long we've got. So it didn't seem right and fair. And also, I thought, well, if anything happened to me, you know, he'd be left, him and my daughter would be left trying to deal with all my clutter. Well, okay, they would just get a skip and put it all in. But it still didn't seem fair either. And I also have this slight fear that if anything happened to my husband, I would just end up completely hoarding, because at least he does keep a little bit of a rein on my clutter. And so I thought maybe if I could clear my clutter before it, I mean, hopefully nothing's going to happen for years, but you just don't know, do you, what's around the corner. So that was a kind of impetus. But I don't think I really thought I could do it. And that was why, when I heard about the social gatherings, that sort of gave me a way of not committing fully, but finding out more, really.
So what advice would you have for anyone who is nervous about starting their clutter clearing journey?
Well, what I did was join in with the social gatherings, and that definitely made me feel, yes, I'm ready now to start the journey. I'd been kind of hovering around all your things for years, but never quite felt, right, this is the time, I've got to do it, I'm going to be able to commit to it. Yeah, so if you're really sort of hesitant, I would join the social gatherings first, personally, but that's just because that's what I did. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much.